Now, what is the difference between experience and service? What is the difference between experience, customer experience, and service? Yes?
Well, I'd say customer service sounds more positive, and yes, it's more positive because a customer experience could be bad or good. But when you put the word service in there, to me, it implies more positive.
Anybody else? Here's what I'm going to offer. We are in an experience economy. We are looking to promote the experience of people that come into our presence, be it a facility or be it in relationship to us. Service is transactional. You want a DVD, I'll give you a DVD. You want a book, I'll give you a book. However, experience takes in the whole McGillicuddy. It takes in everything. So that if you came into my library and you walked through and you had an ability to stop at different sections of that library, and then you go out of that library, you get into your car, you put your key in the ignition, and a person from one of the local papers comes to your car, knocks on the window, says, put your window down, and says, give me 3 words to describe what that was like being in that facility. That is experience. So we're going to look at experience. Now, EQ, raise the bar on service. What is that? In another one, in my earlier life, when I was thin, always was lovely, I used to do TV commercials and training films and all that jazz. I have twin daughters. Colleen and I were talking because we both have twin daughters. They're both, and I came in on a plane to a girl that lives in Salt Lake City, and she was a twin, identical twin. Anyway, so my girls were at my parents' being babysat while I was working. They were eating Cheerios. They were watching cartoons. And all of a sudden, the cartoons ended and a commercial comes on. And there I was. They get out of their chairs, they go up to the TV, and they go, what are you doing in there, Mom? You get out of there. You come out and you play with me. We love our technology. We want someone else to come out and play. We find ourselves at the cross-section of high touch and high tech. One of my favorite movies, E.T. What does that stand for? Explore the touch of technology and the technology of touch. So, here's what we're going to look at, a couple of definitions. This is by Daniel Goleman, who wrote one of the original works on emotional intelligence. And he talks about personal competency. And personal competency is the ability to understand and monitor our emotions for effective response. Social competence. Understand other people, manage relationships. I ask myself, how can I take this topic and hone it down into something succinct for today? What I decided upon, since we're talking about EQ, we're going to look at experience, engagement, and effectiveness. So that's the funnel that we are going to look at. So let us look at experience. Okay, I want you to look at this. We're going to play with a symbol. I want you to look at this. Remember those when you were a kid? I remember those. Okay. And now we're going to look at my terminology, energetic magnetism. Tell me how this symbol represents how what you might think of is emotional intelligence and service. Anybody give me feedback?
The microphone is.
You're right, it is. tell me how you might connect the dots on this?
If she'll move
The
over.
heart. Okay, the heart. What else? No wrong answers. Give me feedback. Authenticity from your heart, she said. What else?
Closing the loop, like you get confused, then you go back, okay,
Oh, interesting. Very, very creative, okay? What else? Here's what I think. When we look at service, I see service from a marketing perspective. And I see it from a marketing perspective because when you plug it in to the power cord of experience, you are looking to create a current. And that current is a currency for you, for funding, for people coming back, for people knowing what you offer. And how many of you have gone into facilities and you felt uplifted? Raise your hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many have gone in either to departments and you were like this?
Mm-hmm.
Raise your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're talking, your group talked about sustainability. This is an experience sustainability, if you will. How can we connect the dots for the customer? Because let me share with you, they have a picture of you, your reputation, how they think about you. How can we create something that is energetic and magnetic? So, this is the golden rule. The golden rule of customer experience. And let me have you read that, okay? Nice and loud. Read that for me, please. Right here.
The golden rule of customer experience, do unto your employees as you would have them do unto your customers. This is a marketing plan. If you want your employees to sell your brand, first sell your brand to your employees.
Right. So we are going to be looking at internal and external experience. However, I'm going to start from the outside in. That's where we need to start. So what I have done with the I just came back from a couple of experiences with libraries. And their big thing is we need to realign our staff and get back on the same page. So, what I found is that there's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of models. From an emotional standpoint, people, when they can plug in to the larger picture, they begin to get energized and feel magnetically aligned to the mission. With that in mind, my challenge to you is, do not stand on what other people have done. Let your facility create its own brand. Let it create your own model. Because when you do, people have created it and then they can buy into it. Does that make sense? Okay? So let us look at the concept, here's a power cord of vision. But I'm doing vision from a perspective of customer experience. So let us look at this. Take something like this with a group, as I have done with library teams, and I have asked them, what would you like your customers to feel as a result of experiencing your service? This is one that I would like for me. And those are not my words, they happen to be customer words. But it's amazing what teams come up with. So what I have done and just got through doing is that divided people into different groups, and they all came up with different words. Then we prioritize them to look at, this is how we want our customers to feel as a result of doing business with us.
Now, in order to back that up, if this is how we want our customers to feel, how do we need to be in order to have that happen? So when I talk about brand, what I did is this. I had them create an experience of what they wanted to feel as internal customers. And here's the key. I don't know if I brought it. I may not. I've left it in the other room. But here's the concept. Who creates the culture in an organization? The staff does. And here's what I found in going to libraries. One of the big criteria that takes away from that experience is a lot of gossip or negativity or this or that. And I talk about this as magic marker. If I have a magic marker and I give this magic marker to, what's your first name?
Carrie.
Carrie. I give this magic marker to Carrie and I say, you know what, you're to blame for this. It's your fault. You did this, or you did that, or I don't like how you do about this. If I give her the magic marker, I give my power away to her, because if she has the magic marker to have created the negative, she has the magic marker to create the good. So if I take it and I say we are creating the culture we want to have, so much of emotional intelligence and that energetic magnetism comes from, like people from Netflix said, we want to create a company that we can be happy to be from. Go networking and say, I'm from this library and I'm from that library and gee, it's a great place to work. So there is then this internal culture. What does this look like? And what I did is I divided people into groups and we put them all like a storyboard up on the wall. Now, let's look at this. Instead of relying on other people's model, how about something like this? Here's a blank model. It doesn't have to be 4 circles. It could be anything you want. And people came up with some cool ideas. They came up with a key, they came up with a stair step, they came up with whatever. The key is, it's their brand, it's what they are looking at. So what I asked some of them to do name it. Synthesize what you want it to look like. And now they have a model. It synthesizes. Finicky. No detail is too small. We are going to be adherents to details. Friendly. And the key is not just the words, but what do the words, how you define the words, because my big thing is, I'm going to give you an example. I did a conference for some other, I think it was in Tennessee or something, and some woman, and again going back to marketing, said, did you know that we have 2,500 people come through our summer reading program? And the guy goes, so what? She said, well, what do you mean, so what? He said, so what? She goes, well, we have 2,500 people come through our place. And he said, so what? And the bottom line is, as you know, what does that mean to the customer? What is the relevancy to it? So my big question that I think we need to ask is, so what? And tell me what it looks like. Because if I cannot picture it, I cannot do it. And I will move in the direction of my picture. And I wish I asked for some copies, but he was out of town. We just came up with a bunch of them. Were really creative. But the key for it is it is in their creation of it that it begins to live and breathe, because they created it. So now, it's not enough to have the words. The words give you a picture. We move in the direction of our picture. And there's that magnetism, that connection. You know, people don't care what you do until they think you care. So, behavior. What behaviors do we have to demonstrate that will be like pillars to uphold this vision and what we think needs to be our culture? What I did in these several of these libraries is it's too much. I mean, we can define it in different areas. All I did is I say pick two. Pick two behaviors. Pick two. What two behaviors can we as a team do differently than we're doing now that we can either start or stop? Start doing, stop doing. And they agreed to, they came up with a bunch of stuff, and they agreed to start out, they had a list, but they'd agreed to start with two. Two behaviors that they felt would help close the gap between how we would like to serve, how we do serve, and what can we do next. Plug in the circuit.
Things to do or not to do?
Both. Thank you for qualifying. This part is not my stuff. This stuff is when you ask for feedback for people, a really good way to ask for leader feedback is to say, what can I start doing? What can I stop doing? And what can I continue to do? So what we did here is they picked one thing they wanted to start and one thing they wanted to stop. It wouldn't have to be like that. That's just what worked for them. Thank you for clarifying. So now let's bring it up even more and look at the fact that we have an ideal culture. And now when we hire people, we do have a culture. It's a defined culture. We look at what behaviors we have. We look at how we want to interact. And now when we hire them, it's a broader perspective. Are they going to fit into our culture? Are they willing to fit into the vision? Do they have the skills to be able to do that? Plug in the circuit. Engagement. Could you read this, please?
How customers feel when they interact with an employee determines how they feel about the company itself.
Yeah, people make an equation. You become the company. Have you ever noticed that in customer service expand? You have, they make that equation. That's Daniel Goleman working with emotional intelligence. So let us look now, we're getting into some body language and how that works because I'm sure you all know this, but let's just backtrack. Not Daniel Goleman. Albert Morabian wrote a study called Silent Messages. Have you all heard about that? And in it, he says that you are taking in my message just like customers are taking in your message, and they're taking it in through verbal words I speak, vocal tone, and visual. Not only did I have a bad hair day, and the answer to that is yes, but what are my gestures like? So if you add all three of those, verbal, vocal, and visual, they add up to 100% of the message you're taking in, or I would take in of your message, which they are rated according to the impact. Which one of those three do you think has the highest impact when people take in the message? If you already know this, please don't play the game, but if you don't know it, what would it be? You think it's the words?
Yeah, writing it down.
Okay, so when you're taking in my message, or her message, or your message, verbal, vocal, and visual, you say the words. Okay, who else? Visual, okay? How about anybody else?
Oh, I think it's your tone.
Tone, okay? So I'm going to ask you, out of 100%, how much is the words? Give it a percentage. Just guess.
25?
25, visual? 75, vocal? 75. Okay, 75. Okay, well actually what it is this. 55% of the message that we give is visual, in person. 55%, he gets a bingo, right? Okay, all right. 38% is tone, and 7% is words. And you say, how is that possible? My words are so important. They are. But what's more important is the alignment of the three. I'm so excited to be here. I can't tell you how excited I am. I was jumping for joy today. I cannot tell you how excited I am. Are you buying my message? Okay. Why are you not buying my message?
Actually, I got your message.
Oh, you did? Okay. But you know what I'm trying to say.
I do.
Okay. So when you look at these ladies, they all are communicating a different kind of thing. Even here, they're not even speaking, are they not? Okay. All right. So if you had one word for the lady on the left, what might you have? Who would like to raise their hand a minute? Talk about reading customers. Yes.
Stressed.
Stressed. Okay. How about the person in the middle? I'm sorry? She looks more stressed than. Okay. She looks indifferent. How about this lady? Focused. Okay. All right, okay. Here are some, and look at the contrasts. Look at the contrasts. Think of it, I'm going to just we can get into a lot of technical stuff, but let's get into the broad categories. The broad categories are, am I closed? Or am I open? The folks that were up here said, be accessible. If 55% of my message is my body, what about me makes me accessible? Nervous or relaxed. Here's what's interesting. Oh, I'm screwing her up. I have to stay sort of where I am. You get picked, okay? So shake my hand. Okay. So when I shake someone's hand, what's interesting is that the perception of both parties, the person that's perceived to be the most calm is perceived to be the most confident. So calm. Now, the American Journal of Cardiology says that we can read changes in the feelings in the electromagnetic field from the heart 5 feet away. What does that mean? People can sense. They can, think people can smell fear, so to speak. Okay. We can sense that. So our body language. So we're looking at these aspects. I chose this because of the eyes. Out of those people, which one do you think seems the most authentic? I'm sorry? What did you say? Oh, he talked about handsome. Anybody? The guy with the beard? The handsome bearded man? Okay. Here's my perception, and it is perception. I use body language to teach assumptions. It's amazing what you plug in. But anyway, I would pick him also, and not just because he's handsome, but he is. However, I want you to just gaze a minute, point out something. We'll talk more about that this afternoon. You can go beyond the surface of the eyes in him. The rest of them look semi-engaged, but it's more surface. If you look at his eyes, it goes beyond. Can you see that? It goes beyond the surface. Okay, so let's look at reading the customer. This is a game here. Tell me some of the body language if you were reading a customer. Keep it simple. 3 areas: engagement, disengagement, and stress. What are some of the body languages of engagement? What would you read in a customer if they were approaching you? What would be some of the body language that would deal with it being engagement? Go ahead.
Welcome.
Welcome. Yes, he did a nice one. He goes, welcome. Yes. Okay. Come on in, I'm open. Okay. Okay. However, let me share with you something. It does make a difference, actually, even with going from doing stuff here to going like this. Makes a difference in how open you are. And the key is, Do you seem approachable? Because I've coached folks, and here they are behind the desk like this. And I've sat at circulation desks, and here's what I see. Customers come up and they go, oh, I'm so sorry to bother you. You look so busy and everything, right? And so there is that piece. So what else? What other types of body language do we have?
Eye contact.
Eye contact. What else?
More questions, follow-up questions.
Follow-up questions. What else?
Smiling.
Smiling. Genuine smiling. Not this kind of smiling.
Can I help you?
Yes, right. Of the person at the checkout. Not here in the library. I'm talking about, like, let's say Kmart or something. Shh, shh. And then they go, have a nice day. Have a nice day. Okay. Head nods, smiles, leaning forward a bit, open posture, closer, the more comfortable, energetic. There's an energy. Disengaged. They have a tendency to pull back. Their eyes become narrower focused. They have a tendency, if I am like this, to pull away or move back or go like this, which talks about disengagement. I start turning in a different way. And of course, stress, we have a tight tone, we have a furrowed brows, we have those things that may be perceived as negative. And this afternoon, we're going to look at what ones do you do that are naturally perceived as negative, and which ones do you do that are perceived as problem. There you go. Body language fluency, mid-afternoon, 3 o'clock. Oh dear. So, what you're looking to do is when a customer comes up to you, you want to look at whether or not, you want to look at the dissimilarities, okay? Is there a gap between what they're speaking and what their body language says? We're very used to active listening to the verbal, but we're not as good as active listening to the nonverbal. So here's what you were looking at. Does there seem to be a discrepancy between what they're saying and how they're looking? And which one do you think carries the truest message? And let me share with you, most people, when given a choice, will take the nonverbal versus the verbal. Okay? So, avoid non-meaningful, distracting gestures. If I have Ivan irate in front of me, I watch folks just continue to do with their work, whereas if you put, they want attention, if you put your stuff down and even step back a little bit and assume a good solid body position and truly look at them, it's often half the battle because you're giving them their full attention, which is what they're looking for, rather than continuing with movement that takes away from what's critical, an acknowledgement of presence. Are you present to the person? So let us look carefully to the customer word. Is there a mix? And what is the clearest message? So if the body language is open, what do you do? If you're going to align yourself with the customer, if the body language is open, what would you do to accommodate?
Just mimic them?
You mimic them or mirror them. Begin to match it. If the customer is jittery or nervous, what would you do? I'm sorry? Try to be calm. What would that look like? Open. Curb your enthusiasm. And the reason why I say that is if they're jittery like this, and you continue to be hyper, there's a concept of leading with your body language. You can lead a conversation and interaction by choosing a body language you want them to mirror. Always follow the customer's lead with distance. Why? Because distance is relevant to their sense of being comfortable. So, I was giving a talk one time. It was kind of an out there topic. And someone asked a question, and I was standing here, and I started to come up, and I literally could feel the person did want me to come, and I took a step back. As I started to explain it, the person became more comfortable, was buying into it more, and I then was able to step up, and we were able to have conversation. My brother happened to be in the audience, and he asked me, he said, "Why did you do that?" He said, "It was effective. Why did you do that?" And I said, "Because the person was resistant, and if I had come beyond the circle they had set for themselves, a barrier, the hula hoop they had set for themselves, I would have forced the issue." Does that make sense? Okay. If the customer moves more slowly, what would you do? Slow down and match them. Watch fast, jerky movements. You adjust to the customer when the customer is speaking. So if she and I were talking, she's loving that she sat here. If she and I were talking, and I'm normally like this, okay, and she is sitting like this and is just talking like this, I don't want to adjust it midstream and go like this, but rather I may talk like this. I notice her body language, and as she is speaking, I just simply move into a situation, body language, that is more congruent to hers. Here's the key. If you are aligned with someone, perception is that you are on the same page. And when you are on the same page, they think you care. And the bottom line is when we do care, we automatically go into those comfort zones with customers. And avoid traditionally negative body language. So, I'm going to skip this. We're talking about time, and I said I wanted, and I will deal with this afternoon. So here we have effectiveness. Let me have you look. This is my model. High touch, high tech. Integrated customer experience. And what does that look like? The physical, technology, contact, contextual, and emotional. And what are we looking to do? Consistently exceed physical and emotional expectations. I just had, prior to this, was working in Indiana, and a gal said to me, "You know, that's so true." She said, "Because in my library, there's just a lot of folks who decide that they're doing a good job, not that they're doing a bad job, if they take care of the task, and they can make a check mark by what they did by the task." And she said, "But the bottom line is when you ask someone about their experience, you can give them the task, but if you have done it in a way that is obviously negative relationship-wise, they will remember more the negative in the relationship than they will in the task." So we are looking at giving our customers value. It is not an either or, it is an and. So let's use technology to look at the heart. And the technology is strategy. Here, what I offer for people is, don't make it up here. This is sort of what we do. This is sort of how we act. Rather, identify the points of contact that you have in your department, whether it is internal or external, because you could be in accounting and, you could be dealing with vendors, but also internal customers. Map the points of contact, and the critical piece is map the white space in between the points of contact that allow you to make a total integrated experience. So what does that look like? There was a game in Indianapolis. The Broncos were playing. Any guys that might know that anyway, they were playing. No hotels. I stayed at a bed and breakfast. Let me give you some points of contact. Get to there. Of course, there's no elevator, so I'm lugging my presentation materials up these things. Go knock on the door. This is now a point of contact, like, hello, I'm here. It says, if no one answers the door, call this number. And I thought, well, this would be interesting if A, someone's phone died, or B, I did not have a phone. Okay? Number 2, I call the number and she says, oh, well, you know, we have several properties and I'm down the road and I'll be there in about 10 minutes or so. Now, fortunately, it was a fall day. What would happen if it were a windy day, cold day? I get in, she finally comes, get in. She has me sign the register, which is fine. It is beautiful, antique-y kind of place. And then there is this huge staircase that goes up. No elevator. Here I am, lugging the suitcase up the thing, never offered to help, never made a comment. And I said, you know, what do people do who are older, who have to do this? And she said, you'll love this. Well, usually they are accompanied by a man. So A, I'm the woman who's older, which I accept, that's fine. And B, they have a man. Oh, good. So there are, what I'm getting at, do you see the points of contact? The point is, now in the white space would be things like, in your business, here's what's beautiful about high-tech, high-touch. Look at how beautiful, what a beautiful marriage technology is with being in person, because your white space is the website and is the online experience. And you all already know that people's online experience, people are networking online, meeting, talking, and guess what they do? They bring that conclave into the library to meet. Then they go back to the internet, yeah? And so a white space, example of a white space is standing in line waiting for you to serve me. So a lot of you, what you've done is have those signs that say what's coming up, or signs to read, or a display from a local artist. How are you using the total expectation to create a total experience? Now, what I ask people to do then is, again, these are your typical raters of meeting expectations. You don't have to stand on those. Make up your own. What would those raters look like if you plugged it into the experience that you said you wanted to create? Emotional hijacking. I'm just going to say a few words about this because of time. You basically have 6 seconds to command your response. And I work with a lot of folks to do that. I'm going to give you an example. I worked with a library who was next to a high-rise building that consisted of a lot of elderly folk who were on meds, but they wouldn't take their meds. So they would come into the library and the people were afraid. So when I went to coach them, how do you deal with crisis? You deal with crisis before it happens so that you have a command in the moment. So what we did is I had them take, because go back to customer service and plugging in, when we all act like screaming memes, we are not giving forth an example to our customers, certainly to our external customers. And when I have interviewed employees, one of the comments they have toward leaders is they have to be cool, because if they're not cool, it spills out and it's contagious. It's contagious to all the other people. Watch. Okay, let me show you what that is a minute. So what I had them do is take the 3 scariest or challenging situations they had, and we planned exactly what they were going to say and do based on the experience, not that anything else could be different. When I came in 3 weeks later, I said to the one gal, "So how's Mr. Smith?" She goes, "Lauren, it is so weird. He has not acted up since you've been here." And I said, "Why do you think that is?" And she said, "Because I think he knows I know what I'm going to say." And I do think, because now go back and plug in the circuit to, we can read the change of feelings in the heart space 5 feet away. So if you are prepared and you know what you're going to say, you feel comfortable and am calm, and then you lead and mirror that for the other person. This is emotional labor. What is emotional labor? Everyone in this room experiences, and me too. Do you think that every day that I give a presentation, I feel like giving it? Do you think that every day you stand in a circulation desk or in research or wherever you are and you feel like that smiley face? Raise your hands if you do every day. Okay. Bottom line is, it takes labor to hold up the appearance of calm when you don't feel calm, the appearance of caring when sometimes you just, let's be real, don't always feel very caring. And here's what I'm going to offer to helping experience the internal customer culture. What do you do in a facility to let your people have breaks when they have been in challenging situations where they have had to respond and it's been difficult? Can you set up a tag team so that, let's say she's supposed to be on a break, but he had an experience with a customer that just kind of bowled him over. She tags him. He goes get a cup of coffee or Coke or goes take a walk. She takes his place because he's going to pay her back another time. And you add to the resiliency of the staff and sustain the caring people are able to give because they haven't scraped so much of the bottom of themselves that they don't have anything else to give. And this, I may have to end on this, policies are huge. I see that as one of the things that stand in the way of giving a good experience to customers. So I challenge you with this. Well, no, you can't take that out. It's our policy. No, you can't do this because it's this. Look at your policies. Does that policy keep us safe? Does it help me and our customers serve? Does it simplify procedures for our customers, for our internal customers? And my definition is it customer smart? Does it help the customer do what they want to do and get what they need if all those other things are put into place? Then what happens is it is A, serves the customer and serves the internal customer. And the other piece to it is the policies are more consistently enforced, and consistency breeds trust. And if I trust you, then I'm going to be more open to you. And we become relevant to our customers and consistent. Now, and this came from coaching a leader. She said, I want my folks to be independent and make decisions like Southwest Airlines in the moment, that you have also the autonomy and the authority. I said, then this is what they need to hear. They need to hear that they have permission to make a choice in the moment of whether to bend it or not bend a policy, that I will support you and have your back, and that are we going to make mistakes? Just what these folks said here this morning. You're darn right we're going to make mistakes. But we're only going to learn by mistakes. And as long as you tell me that we're all in this and we're all learning and growing, then it becomes a developmental thing that makes me feel good and the customers. Just, you heard it again here. We are all a work in progress. And I'm going to end with this. Experientials. Library, with the advent of technology, more and more, what you are offering people's way of customer service is the experience of space. So you have interactive, responsive spaces. People, this is Stephen Abrams, he talks about you go from a transitional mindset to a value-created mindset. What are you doing that makes it alive and breathing and interactive? And here are you, lastly, and it's a good segue to this afternoon. No matter what, you still are the message. You are still the message. Because I am experiencing you you are information clarifiers, consultants, conversation engagers, opportunity sensors. You are movers and shakers. You are time-space specialists. You are continual learners and champions and advocates. Now what I'd like you to do is elevate your own image of yourself. And I'm going to end with this. In emotional intelligence, Dr. Robert Cooper, who wrote Executive EQ, talks about what is our unique potential. We don't just sell information, learning and wisdom, not just space, an ability to connect, not just assistance, but consultation, not just support, but being a vital partner, which you just heard, and not just books, but multimedia. And so what you're looking as a leader to lead EQ and to raise the bar of service. Thank you.